Salvation is different from self-defense. Grace and peace, everybody. Welcome to Sabbath School Study Group. We're starting a new 5-part series while finishing out almost the book of Ephesians. We're going to chapter 6 to look at the call to stand. How do we stand? Where do we stand? Who stands in whom? That is some of the territory that we want to cover in the journey that I pray will help encourage us in our walk. And if we haven't made that decision to surrender our lives to Christ, I pray that this series will convince us to do just that. You know, when you think about self-defense and the whole idea of martial arts or even the extreme of mixed martial arts, the point of it is to defend yourself. It's to avoid an attacker by going on the offensive. But the thing that's interesting about being a true Bible-believing Christian, a born-again Christian, is that we find ourselves in a battle, as we're going to see in our study, but we see that the other side of that victory actually is with us standing in Christ, even putting on Christ. So it's not so much about what we do to protect ourselves, it's about who protects us. So while salvation is a type of defense, it's not a self-defense. The power doesn't come from us, but it goes for us on our behalf. That's why when you read in Ephesians chapter 6, verse number 10, we're encouraged. Finally, my brethren, be strong in the Lord and in the power of his might. We are encouraged. I would even dare say we're commanded to be strong. But what is the source of that strength? It's not us. It's a strength that is in the Lord. So if the strength is in the Lord, then where should you and I be? That is what's informing our question of how we actually find ourselves, not just making it through, but even overcoming a battle. It's why we see the testimony of the psalmist in Psalm 62, which says, truly, my soul waiteth upon God. From him cometh my salvation. He only is my rock and my salvation. He is my defense. I shall not be moved. So again, salvation is a type of defense, but it is not a self-defense. It's not me protecting me. It is someone else protecting me. And the way the psalmist terms it is that this salvation actually comes from him, where Ephesians says this salvation is actually in him. So what is in him? For it to come from him, it must be given by him. This is the gospel being painted in these different strokes throughout the Bible. This was the psalmist, right? He knew a little something about fighting battles. That's why he's famous. What happened with Goliath was evidence that did not come from David. It wasn't a boy that beat a giant. It was God through a boy to beat a giant. This is our path. This is our promise. And it's why even again in going on in verse 5 through 6 of Psalm 62, look at what he continues to say. The psalmist says, my soul, wait thou only upon God, for my expectation is from him. Why? Because that's where our salvation comes from. Him. He only is my rock and my salvation. He is my defense. And because of that, I shall not be moved. I shall not be moved is what he says. And it's not because he's looking to himself for this solid grip or for this solid stance. It's the one in whom he's invested his trust. That's who he's counting on to be strong. That's who he's counting on to be on the defensive. And this is where we have to find ourselves and rest ourselves, as we're told in Ephesians chapter 6. Salvation is a gift, and that salvation is active, and it achieves for us what is impossible for us to do in our own power. But to the same extent, that's how much of us needs to be in Christ. This is how much of us needs to be waiting on God. All or nothing at all.